Hi, Shar here from BlissBodyandSoul.com. I am here today with Nadia Andreeva, founder of SpinachAndYoga.com, health coach, wellness expert, advocate of Ayurveda, and now author of a new book, Happy Belly, which focuses on digestive health and happiness. Thank you so much, Nadia, for your time today and for talking with me about a subject that all of us have some experience with, but that we're really only just beginning to understand and accept is its importance to our health and happiness, and that is digestion.
Thank you for having me.
So, Nadia, we're hearing a lot about digestion these days in magazines, in the news, on television, even in general conversation. And so, why do you think digestion is such a big issue right now?
So our digestion, if we look really far back, went from having 100 to 300 grams of fiber to, in the US now, people have an average of 12 grams of fiber per day. I don't know what it is in Australia, but the difference is huge, like from 300 grams to 12 grams. And there's a lot more sugar. There's a lot more genetically modified foods. We eat a lot more often because there's more food out there. And it's hard not to have digestive problems.
The situation over here in Australia is very, very similar to the States. And from what I know, that situation is becoming very similar globally. So it's not just an
Yeah.
issue in the US. It's actually, I know when I spent time in India, there was a lot of issues there as well. So it's really becoming a problem or an issue for the entire world.
Yeah, an interesting thing, which I always kind of think back, and that gives me a little bit of a scale in terms of what happened, is people might not have an issue in terms of like, I don't feel bloated, so my digestion is fine.
Hmm.
But even the transit time, like the time from the that we eat and the food comes out,
Hmm.
it used to be 6 hours. When you have a fiber-rich diet, it used to be 6 hours. Now it's up to like 24 is
Hmm.
considered normal. And then there are people who have 72 hours. Like I have some of my clients do a beet test
Uh-huh.
when you eat some beets and you wait until it comes out.
Uh-huh.
Some people have to wait for 72 hours.
Wow. Oh my God.
That's a pretty, it's a disaster, even if your stomach is not bloated.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. And so like, what would you say are some of the key challenges that are facing most of us related to optimal digestion?
Um, I think the challenges is how not to get overwhelmed
Hmm.
by everything that society is dictating us in terms of what we should be eating, how often we should be eating, at the times that we should be eating. So I'll give you an example. In the US, a lot of people think that dinner should be around 7:30,
Uh-huh.
8:30. Some people have it at 9:30. Um, that's not optimal for our digestion. Our digestion works better before sunset, or if you have it after sunset, then it should be your lightest meal. In the society, dinner is usually the heaviest meal.
Hmm.
That will be challenging. Even if you're eating a huge salad at night, it's still going to be challenging. Um, so I think one of the big ones is how do you choose what works for you and stick to it no matter how different it is from the people around you that might be doing something completely different.
Hmm.
Or if everyone is having sports drinks after their workout, um, you have to step up and be different and just have water.
Hmm.
It's just it's very interesting in how difficult it can be for one person to do what feels best for their body versus following just what society dictates.
Hmm. I think that's a huge issue, and I know that you touched on that in the book and talked a little bit about your experiences with doing that. Your experiences basically with honoring yourself and honoring your body and finding a way to fit what you know is right for you into your life. And so, can you just talk a little bit more about that, like what your experience of doing that is, and or was?
Yeah.
It's true. And also, do you know other people that are having that same sort of struggle?
I mean, all my clients are having the same struggle
Hmm.
because, yes, the first step is to figure out what for your body, but then you have to figure out how to actually give it to the body, maintaining your normal daily life and work. And most of us have a family, so how do you fit your new lifestyle and your new diet into your family lifestyle? And I'm still working on it. Like there's some aspects where my boyfriend and I have very different views, and I'll just do my own thing.
Yeah.
Like if I'm hungry for dinner at 5 p.m., I'll have dinner at 5 p.m. and he'll eat later. And I do it because I prioritize how I feel,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't consider dinner together as a time to eat together. I consider it time that we can sit together and spend together and we'll talk. I don't have to eat at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of it is about reframing. So if somebody is creating a change in their lifestyle and their diet, but their friends are not there yet, and you're still going to want to see friends, right? You're not going to break up all the relationships just because you're changing your diet.
Yeah.
But I learned, for example, I'll eat before I go out with friends, and all of them are now accustomed to it, and I don't feel bad about myself. It's not a way for me to restrict myself.
Mm-hmm.
It's a way to honor my body, to honor what works for it. And I know I'm just not going to feel good if I don't do it. It might not be the case for everyone else, but that's what works for me,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm happy with that. And I think that what it comes down to is you make a choice about what is it in the relationship that you appreciate the most.
Mm-hmm.
Is it you connecting with people? Is it you talking with people? Or is it the restaurant food that you're really valuing? And then honor that. If feeling good is really important for you, do what makes you feel good. Don't do what other people expect you to do.
Awesome. I think that gets back to what the real challenges are for us in making healthy changes, isn't it? Um, we've got so many, I guess, societal and cultural ideas about what we should be doing, when we should be eating, what interacting with friends sort of looks like. That we need to sort of, like you said, we need to sort of reframe and kind of step outside of that and really start listening to ourselves and honoring ourselves a little more.
Yeah.
Um, There's so many juicy questions. Lots of people live with digestive dysfunction, like we talked about, or I think you sort of touched on that a little bit earlier. We've had digestive issues for so long that we don't really even recognize them as anything out of the ordinary. I mean, you talked about some of your clients, taking long times to sort of pass things through, and I know lots of people live with pain, discomfort, bloating, gas, all sorts of things after they eat um, without really understanding or realizing that isn't necessarily healthy, like that things can be better. So what would you say are some of the key things that for people that might actually signal that their digestion is compromised?
Well, I would say a healthy digestion is a digestion that you don't notice.
Mm-hmm.
So if you eat and you don't feel your stomach, you poop in the morning and you don't have to like make a special effort to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's not bothering you. You don't have to think, okay, my stomach is bloated. What do I have to wear? You kind of put on what fits you best, and your stomach doesn't protrude like you're pregnant when you're not. And those are all signs of a healthy digestion. It's the same as heartbeat. You're not thinking, is my heart beating okay? Like, do I feel it, not feel it? It just does its job. A healthy digestion does the same thing. It does its own job that is designed by nature without attracting too much attention. If that's the case, then you probably don't have to worry about it. If you feel that your stomach is cramping, is bloated, can't go to the bathroom with ease, then it needs attention.
I know. Yeah, I'm always amazed when the digestion question comes up, or when I start talking to people, when I do consultations, etc. When I start talking to people about their elimination, I'm amazed at the sorts of things I see. And when I do talk to them about their experience, lots of people do just sort of think, oh, well, that's the way it's always been. Or it's good that people like you are actually kind of bringing it out to people that, look, life can be so much better.
Yeah, it definitely feels a lot better when it works.
Yeah, doesn't it? Um, One of the things in the book that you touch on, and as soon as I read it, I was like, oh, I've got to talk to her about this, is the relationship between our digestion, our self-confidence, sexuality and our relationship with ourselves, and specifically for women. And you suggest that the way that we feel about ourselves and our bodies is really reflected in the quality of our digestion. And this is huge. This is such a huge thing. And I'm so glad that you've touched on that in the book, because it's really, it's very much at the center of a lot of the issues that we have as women. And one of the things that I wanted to sort of talk to you a little bit about is, like, what do you think that women are really struggling with most in this respect? And why do you think we struggle so much?
Yeah, well, I think the key word here is that it is a struggle. For a lot of women, the whole relationship with their body is a struggle. It's how do I can control my body so it is a certain weight. Um, and then it also leads to the fact that we get very disconnected from feeling the body. So it's all of it is how the head will decide what the body is going to eat, how it's going to exercise, what it's going to do on a day-to-day basis. It doesn't, it's not a partnership between the mind and the body. It's a very controlled relationship where the head controls the body. And because of that, we get very disconnected from feeling the body and being in the body. So we forget what hunger is, which can be an amazing guide, when to eat, when not to eat. We kind of get very disconnected to it. So we need portion control and like measuring cups, because we don't know what feels right in the body anymore. And the same with exercise. It's like it has to be certain minutes and like certain hours, and you have to do particular things because we don't know what makes us feel good. And that aspect is a lot about mindfulness. Can you start using your breath as a bridge between your mind and the body, connecting the two, feeling the body? In the beginning, it might help to really touch the body, so you feel your stomach, you feel the breath, and the way it really moves through your body. And kind of like slowly start reconnecting to each cell and to the feedback that your body provides on a continuous basis. So what I always tell women is your digestion is always a scorecard of your relationship with your body. If you work on improving your relationship with the body, your digestion will improve.
What have you found have been the reactions to that? Sort of, have women really taken that on and been able to start to really make changes with that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's small changes that you make, but it's similar as you might not think that something will make a change. So it's a matter of establishing a habit of doing something. And then over time, the change will occur on its own. So one of the most powerful things to begin with, I would say, is to just schedule in 5 minutes per day. But usually say either early morning before you get out of bed, late afternoon, like 3 or 4 p.m., or right before you go to sleep, where you just lie down for 5 minutes, keep your palms on your lower stomach, and just breathe into the stomach to the point where even the lower part of the stomach lifts up a little bit. So you're breathing with slow, deep breaths. And then from there on, try with every exhale to soften the stomach so it releases the tension. A lot of women carry lots of tension in their stomach. And then at the end of 5 minutes, you feel that your body is relaxed, your nervous system is relaxed. Start building a dialogue with the body. So ask your body, how are you feeling today? How can I support you to feel better? What can I do to support you? And in the beginning, the body might not necessarily be very responsive. So think of it like talking to a partner that you haven't spoken to in years. In the beginning, the body might be mad and be like, I'm not talking to you. But then over time, in a couple of days, you'll start intuitively feeling like, okay, maybe I need more rest. Maybe I want more like root vegetables. And sometimes the feedback will be very specific. It will be like, I want yoga. I hate your boot camps. Or it's going to be the opposite. Like, I'm bored of yoga. I want a boot camp. So it's going to get very specific because your body, especially when it's healthy, it knows what it needs to stay healthy.
Wow, it sounds as well like you're saying in there that this kind of acceptance of your body and, the way it looks and the way it feels is also a really big part of it too.
Oh, yes, of course. Again, it's whether, I think for a lot of women, the test comes in is we try to lose weight. Um, a lot of women, it's the focus. We might say that it's not, but it
Mm-hmm.
still is. Everyone wants to look a certain way.
Yeah.
And we try to force the body to look that way. But I always think that for women, it's some sort of a test. Can you love yourself no matter what?
Mm-hmm.
Start with that aspect and then see if you can care and love yourself into the body that you want, because your
Mm-hmm.
body wants to be light, it wants to be healthy, it doesn't want to be heavy, it doesn't want to be sick.
Right.
But can you not force it to be a certain way, but can you love it to be a certain way?
Oh, that's so terrific. That is really terrific. I'm definitely going to make sure that people hear that because that's exactly it. And to me, I think that in a lot of ways that is kind of the message of Ayurveda as well. And in the book, I think you do a great job of marrying the Western scientific concepts with the Eastern concepts about the purpose and the function of all of these things of digestion, of the way that we of acceptance and the way that we feel about ourselves. And so, what was your drive for sort of taking that route over just say talking about specifically about the Western view or about the Eastern view or the Ayurvedic view?
Well, I think Ayurveda gives amazing insights and principles that a lot of us can use. And a lot of Western wisdom, we kind of lost that aspect of um, the duality, for example, that Ayurveda provides.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's incredible to be able to use those principles and apply it to the Western world. But at the same time, I don't think that necessarily taking some from India, where science was born thousands of years ago and was applied mostly to Indians,
Mm-hmm.
taking it and copying it 100% to transfer it over to the Western world.
Yep.
We live in a different society, lifestyle is different, the needs are a little bit different, our digestive systems are very different. So you can't just take something that worked thousands of years ago and transfer it, just copy it
Mm-hmm.
exactly to Western society, because it's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
You can't expect everyone to start eating khichdi and curry every single day.
Yeah.
But you can teach everyone about principles of like using the opposite qualities to balance,
Mm-hmm.
and understanding the wisdom of each food and the qualities of each food, because this is the tools that they can take and use for whatever diet they choose to follow.
As well as that, I can imagine that it's very much sort of speaking their language as well. People seem to be far more willing to listen and to understand if it's in some way set within a context or using a little bit of language that they understand.
Yeah, of course, examples that they understand and the language that they understand. I'm sure lots of traditional Ayurveda people are probably thinking that I somehow did something really bad by simplifying Ayurveda to that point. But my purpose was mostly to serve people who've never heard about Ayurveda.
Mm-hmm.
And if they want to learn more, they have plenty of other books to guide them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that people who, there's a spectrum of the way that Ayurveda is practiced and beliefs about it. And I can remember one of my teachers in India telling me, he said, take this knowledge that you have and go to where you're going and learn about where you are. And so I definitely believe that there's people out there who agree that Ayurveda needs to, in many ways, needs to evolve as well. In many ways, we need to sort of stay true to the core foundations of it, but that we need to apply it to, who we are, where we are, what our lives are like, what our environment's like. That's really the message of it, isn't it?
Yeah, I like your teacher.
Me too. What would you say are the most important things that everyone should be really aware of? Like if you just had to say, give people maybe 2 or 3 or 4 things that they should really be aware of regarding their digestive health, sort of little mantras, if you will.
First one, is the simpler, the better.
Mm-hmm.
I think simple food is usually the easiest to digest.
Mm-hmm.
If it has too many ingredients, it automatically becomes more difficult, even if the ingredients are all super pure and super organic.
Mm-hmm.
If you put a bunch of different fats and raw vegetables and grains and legumes all in one dish, it's going to be really difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say choose just a couple of ingredients and keep everything simple. Like choose one ingredient that's going to be the key of the plate and then surround a couple of other things around the plate, but don't make super complicated dishes. One pot meals is a great example. Like having a little bit of soup with some greens or a soup with grains always works for somebody who's struggling with digestion. And if people are not digesting grains, then maybe having a piece of fish with vegetables. And the second mantra would be, I would say breath. Like keep breathing throughout the day. Don't forget that breath is an essential part of your digestion because if you're holding the breath, if the body is stressed, if the nervous system is hyper, then the digestion automatically shuts off. You can be eating the most foods, hydrating enough, but if the nervous system is getting in the way of your digestion, it's not going to work properly. So I would say deep, slow breaths throughout the day will help to keep your nervous system calm, and that's going to automatically help digestion.
And so the last thing I wanted to ask you is what would you say is the single most effective or the single most important thing that you've done to transform yourself and your digestion?
Interesting. I don't think, unfortunately, there was one particular thing because there has been so many different changes, and I feel like it varied from food to positive affirmations to mantras to tapping. I've tried so many different things. It's hard for me to say which one made the most difference. So I would say for people is don't try to find one particular thing that will completely create a huge change. I would say it's a matter of changing the environment, of looking at the diet, looking at the stress levels, looking at the exercise routine, looking at the beliefs and thinking patterns. Because for everyone, it's going to be slightly different. So it's hard to pinpoint something that's one particular thing that's going to work for everyone. And anyone who says that there's one generalization that's going to be effective for everyone, they're delusional. It's really a matter of figuring what is it that's dragging you down. And a lot of people will actually know what's dragging them down. So a woman who emotionally eats, she knows that overeating that's what's causing it. It's not her gluten sensitivity. For somebody who is, for example, eating a really big late dinner, they probably also know that that's what's causing it. So choose one thing that's dragging you down and work on correcting that instead of focusing on a million things that somebody else is telling you.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. I was just reminded of that saying, deep down, you already know the truth. And it's really just about,
of course.
It sounds like it's really just about kind of acknowledging, accepting, and then kind of moving forward from that truth.
Yeah, it's all of us know there's a couple of behaviors that need correcting. So if somebody is working on overeating or emotional eating, and well, I'm bloated because I have gluten sensitivity, I'm going to give up all gluten and I'm going to binge on gluten-free cookies or carrots, it's not going to resolve the issue. It's really about getting honest with yourself.
Well, Nadia, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for writing this fantastic book, Happy Belly. I can't wait to have even more people know about it because it's a fantastic book. Lots of information, access to the website, recipes, things to do, wisdom. It's a fantastic book, and I know that it's taken you a while to pull all of that together, so I appreciate you persevering. And I do thank you as well for your time today.
Thank you so much, Sarah. It was really fun.